Hi, my name is Marcus Armstrong, and I present to you the behavior resource presentation on positive behavior interventions and support. Positive behavior interventions and support is also known as PBIS. PBIS is an approach to reduce and ultimately decrease challenging behaviors in the classroom or school-wide. The goal of positive behavior intervention is to improve the quality of education for students and teachers. It also improves the quality of education school-wide. Positive behavior intervention, it also encourages positive behavior. So when we deal with behavior management, it is essential that we establish a principle of positive reward systems. This is why PBIS is critical and essential for the school and the classroom teacher. As we go through this presentation and training today, I want to stress the unique qualities of PBIS, also known as positive behavior intervention. So let's look at the next slide. PBIS offers a unique approach to behavior management. All right. This behavior management strategy allows teachers to develop a proactive approach to encouraging good behavior. I truly believe that all teachers desire good behavior in their classroom and their school. PBIS offers a unique, proactive approach to behavior management. Many behavior management strategies, as we all know, they're sort of reactive. But positive behavior intervention, it gives teachers the opportunity to be proactive. All right, so let's look at the 3 bullet points real quick. Firstly, positive behavior intervention is positive, all right? PBIS encourages a positive school and classroom environment. PBIS is also encouraging, all right? It shows the students and parents that the teachers and staff really do care. Lastly, PBIS is simple to implement if you follow the appropriate strategies. That's what I love about PBIS, is that it's simplistic in essence. Because if you follow the focus strategy, if you go through the three-tiered approach, you'll be able to implement this in your school and class-wide. So throughout this training, I want to stress that the PBIS system is positive, encouraging, and simplistic. Next slide. So, what is the PBIS process about? The PBIS system is an ongoing process that develops consistently. That's why many schools and many leaders are beginning to implement this system, because it develops consistently. Throughout your school year, you'll begin to see growth by leaps and bounds through your school environment and your classroom. Let's look at a few tips. Throughout this presentation and training, I'll be giving you guys some tips and some tools to implement the PBIS in your classroom. The first tip over here in the corner is to remain focused on the overall process of decreasing behavior problems. When implementing the PBIS system, it's key that teachers and staff remain focused at the goal at hand. And the goal is to reduce undesired behaviors in the classroom. The next tip is to continue to develop the process throughout the school year, all right? Once you develop and continue to develop the process throughout the school year, you'll begin to see a gradual improvement through students, and staff. All right. So PBIS is not a quick fix. It's not a one-time fix for everything. Every student is different. Every classroom is different. Every school is different. But when you focus on implementing the system properly, you remain focused and understand that we must continue to remain focused throughout the school year. You'll see the benefits of this behavior management system. Next slide. So what are the basic frameworks of PBIS? PBIS first identifies the needs of students. Next, PBI develops clear strategies for resolution. Lastly, PBIS is essential for communication with parents. That's why many teachers and staff are implementing this behavior management strategy, because it opens the door for communication with parents. Many teachers, when a student is having a behavior problem, it's kind of hard to tell a parent that their child, is too talkative or too playful in class. But because PBIS is surrounded with positive resolution, it gives teachers the opportunity or the language to communicate their behavior from a more positive aspect to that parent. So PBIS is also essential for communication between students and parents. All right, let's look at the next tip. Remember that communication is a vital process, is a vital key in the behavior process. So once you're implementing the PBIS system, you have to remember that communication is key. All right. Let's look at this picture. If you can all see the picture in the room, the PBIS, you see an empty classroom. All right. PBIS is effective for dealing with discipline in the classroom. PBIS offers clear, effective strategies for dealing with discipline right there on the front line in the classroom. So let's look at some expectations. When you begin to implement PBIS, you will notice an improvement of the overall behavior climate school-wide. There are some schools you can walk in and you can feel and begin to notice and look at different climates of behavior. Some climates are dysfunctional. Some climates have a lack of focus. But PBIS gives a clear overall improvement of the behavior climate school-wide. That's one expectation. PBIS also increases the expectation of students. Students will begin to become aware of undesired behaviors, and they begin to change those things in an effort to see positive reward. It also increases expectations from teacher and staff. They develop a renewed sense of behavior management. Teachers and staff will actually begin to feel like, you know what, we can manage this. We can establish the appropriate learning environment. PBIS positively, I want to say that again, positively reinforces school-wide behavior. All right. So if you want to establish a PBIS system, you can establish a set of rules. For example, every morning you can have the students quote, to be respectful, to be safe, to be kind. These are three elements of the PBIS strategy in which students begin to get rewarded for their good behavior. Okay. So PBIS would positively reinforce those rules. Reinforce being positive, reinforce being respectful, being safe, and being kind. All right. PBIS will also increase the classroom behavior expectation. So not only will teachers expect more of students, but students will expect more out of themselves. So how do we implement positive behavior interventions and support? You're going to identify common areas of needed improvement. Next, you're going to establish teachable expectations to students, faculty, and staff. And that's why we're here in training, because we want to establish teachable expectations for students, faculty, and staff. And lastly, you want to consistently train and improve the process. We understand that nothing is perfect in life. The PBIS system has various resources of training that you can improve and improve the overall process of this system. PBIS allows teachers to look for positive aspects and provide feedback. That's what everything is about, communication and feedback. PBIS offers teachers the language to properly communicate their child's behavior, their students' behavior, and also provide feedback to the student and parents. Feedback is an open door of communication that not only builds trust, but it builds that proper rapport between parents and teachers. So, if I was to start up PBIS in my classroom or school-wide, I would first discover the main areas of focus in the classroom or school. I've been to several schools where I noticed that the area of focus should be the hallway, because students are kind of talkative in the hallway, kind of playful, or lack of focus in the hallway. Also the cafeteria. If you've gone to some schools, you've seen schools where the cafeteria, the noise level is on 10. So that could be a focus area. So when you're starting up PBIS, you're going to discover the main areas of focus that fits your school or your classroom. All right, for example, the restrooms. All right, that could be an area of focus. Playgrounds, recess, area of focus. Cafeteria, as I stated, that's another area. The hallways. If the order in the hallway is established and students are displaying good behavior in the hallway, they should also be rewarded, all right? And I've seen schools do things as if a student is walking quietly in the hallway, to implement the PBIS system, they will give the students a ticket to the bookstore as a positive reward for their behavior. The library, and finally, the computer lab, right? So those are areas that you can focus on in your school. So PBIS is a 3-tiered process. You have tier 1, which is primary or universal, and prevents the development of new incidents by providing quality learning environment for students and staff. Tier 2 is a little bit more targeted than tier 1, okay? That's why I like this process, because the tiers, they take you to deeper levels of focus and improvement. But tier 2 is a little bit more targeted than tier 1 because it reduces the frequency and intensity of events for students who are not responsive to the primary intervention, all right? Then you have tier 3, which is a little bit more intensive than tier 1 and tier 2, all right? It reduces the frequency and intensity of existing behaviors that could not be resolved in tier 1 and tier 2. So tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 are 3 levels of behavior management that teachers can implement school-wide that will establish the appropriate environment. So let's look at some benefits of PBIS, okay? PBIS is a proactive system that improves behavioral development. It will provide tiers of support. It also is data-based and provides feedback for instruction. It also improves communication between students, teachers, and parents. It also reduces the use of discipline measures in a school. So rather than sending students and wasting time, sending students to detention, writing students up, it reduces those discipline measures, right? So PBIS also improves social behavior school-wide. That's essential because it teaches kids the benefits of good behavior. It creates a positive school environment school-wide, all right? So let's look at a few resources, all right? You have the Association for Positive Behavior. This association is critical because it gives resources on extra support. All right. You have the National Center on Response, which is an online resource. You have the you have Wet Works Clearinghouse, which is another online resources. I love PBIS.org because they give a lot of online training and resources and books concerning positive behavior intervention. And lastly, Tiered Fidelity Inventory, which gives you the understanding of the 3 tiers of PBIS. All right, this is Marcus Armstrong, and I present to you the Positive Behavior Intervention Behavior Resource Presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for your time.